Yo, what's good YouTube? Zamcro here, aka Scoot, back with the International Draft Masters Season 3, week number 7, and we're taking on Aki VGC, coach of the Portland Crobats. Self-proclaimed GOAT. Always love facing off against Aki. One of my favorite opponents since I joined the league format. Well, since I started playing league format, I should say. Aki and I have played quite a few times, and actually played in a finals at least once. And yeah, very solid battler, very good builder and whatnot. So yeah, got our hands cut out for us. As you can see on screen, he's drafted a team consisting of Aegislash, Garchomp, Zapdos, Azumarill, Weavile, Piloswine, Snorlax, Alomomola, Serena, Crustle, and Mega Alakazam. So, how did he get Aegislash? Well, in Season 1, he actually ended up getting first pick, and he grabbed Magearna. He won Season 1, and we rewarded him by allowing him to pick first again in the draft, and he chose Magearna again, actually. But he actually repeated, and we told him, or I told him, I'm the commissioner of the league, the International Draft Masters is my league, and I told him if he could repeat, versus the competition we have in the league, then he could pick Aegislash next season. So here we are in Season 3, and he's got Aegislash. And actually, if he three-peats and we have Season 4 relatively soon, or a little while down the road, he will have the option of grabbing probably Mega Metagross next season. But I don't think he's going to be able to three-peat this season. It's just going to be, it's just hard to win 3 titles in a row in any league, and I don't see him doing it this season. But he is playing well. He is on fire this season. I believe he's 5-1 going into this battle, and he can either get his 6th win here or his 2nd loss here. So we've drafted Landorus, Therian, Zeraora, Kommo-o, Necrozma, Scizor, Primarina, Incineroar, Decidueye, Glaceon, Mega Diancie, Tauros, and the Garbodor. And our Z-move users are Landorus, Therian, Incineroar, and Glaceon, where our opponent's Z-move users are now, I think, Piloswine and the Serena. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's right. Piloswine, Crustle, and Garchomp. Like, why would you have Garchomp and not make it a Z-move user? Z Garchomp's one of the best Pokemon in the game, period. But yeah, that's going to be the 2 squads. We've actually decided to bring Landorus, Therian, Zeraora, Necrozma, Scizor, Incineroar, and Mega Diancie in this matchup. Mega Diancie has a really solid matchup, in my opinion. His only fairy resist is his Aegislash, and it gets worn down repetitively switching in on things like Necrozma, Scizor, so on and so forth, and coming in on Stealth Rocks and Moonblast, so on and so forth. And I have potential to, have triple Intimidate spam. I do have knockoff on quite a few of my Pokemon. So Landorus, Zeraora, Necrozma, Scizor, Incineroar. All 5 of those Pokemon get knockoff 100%. I know that for a fact. And maybe a few other of my Pokemon do. But yeah, it's really nice to just remove items in this matchup and then let Mega Diancie go ham. I can also use Zeraora and Incineroar to kind of, not really like a, his best way to check Zeraora are Piloswine and Serena. Maybe not so much Serena because of Fire Punch, and maybe not so much Piloswine either because of close combat. But he does have a few roadblocks to Zeraora, and it can be very problematic. But he does have Snorlax as well, so I don't expect it to be like a Curse Mono Normal type variant or like a Choice Band variant or anything like that. It might be a Spadef variant to check Mega Diancie pretty well. But yeah, he's got a lot of different options that he can do as well to try to keep things in line, like Zeraora and Mega Diancie, for example. He could run a Choice Scarf Garchomp to always keep those things in check, never allow it to set up, on anything, always attack what's in front of him, and then make sure that Garchomp can always come in and prevent them from getting out of hand by revealing Choice Scarf, Earthquake, and removing them from the game or whatever it may be. I did decide that. I do have Glaceon, so maybe he doesn't bring Garchomp, maybe he does. I do have Primarina as well, so it kind of like, I think Serena and Zapdos are really nice in this matchup. If I had to pick 5 Pokemon that he was definitely bringing, and then like an X Factor Pokemon, I would say Aegislash, Garchomp, Zapdos, Mega Alakazam, and maybe the Piloswine, or all 5 coming. And then the last one could be like Azu, Serena, Snorlax, or Weavile maybe. But yeah, definitely see the first 3 coming for sure. Piloswine and Mega Alakazam are iffy. I'd say Mega Alakazam's almost 100% too, so he has something that always outspeeds Zeraora and Mega Diancie respectively. But yeah, that's going to be it. We can go ahead and hop into the team builder and talk about our individual sets for a second. First up, we've got Landorus Therian, which is going to be our designated Stealth Rocker with just 3 attacks: U-Turn, Earthquake, and Stone Edge. Max HP, max defense with a defense boosting nature. Not too much to say about this thing. I've made it max with the Appa Berry, so that we can always come in on we are Landers. We can always come in on a Garchomp. If it sets up to +2 and we get the Intimidate off and take it back down to just +1, we can take a Z move after Stealth Rocks, or Berry will pop, we'll get quite a bit of health back, and then avoid being knocked out by the following Outrage or Dragon Claw, as well as if he goes immediately for a Dragon move and we get him to -1, that into Outrage or Dragon Claw can't knock us out either. And it actually will put us in range of our Berry though. So if we take a Devastating Drake into a Outrage or a Dragon Claw, it will pop our Berry. And this is without him setting up. If we take the Z move into Outrage, it will pop our Berry, and then we can take the following Outrage as well. And he will get confused probably. Obviously, if he is Draco Meteor, then we cannot live that Devastating Drake after Stealth Rock, so that could be scary. But yeah, he's been using Garchomp really well. It's got a lot of knockouts on the season, Zapdos and Aegislash as well. So I felt like Landorus Therian was a pretty good bring in this matchup. Gets the Intimidate off, pivots out with U-Turn, so on and so forth. And he doesn't have like the best Earthquake switch in outside of Zapdos. Like, he has no resist outside of Zapdos and Serena, which are immune and don't appreciate being U-turned out on into things like Scizor and Incineroar. Obviously, Zapdos doesn't mind being U-turned out on into Scizor, but I do have Stone Edge for that, and I have Volt Absorb on Zeraora, as well as Incineroar, which resists Heat Wave, and Mega Diancie, which resists Heat Wave, where Scizor would absolutely get blown away by something like that. This thing, okay, so I 100%, even with no attack investment, I 2-hit KO and Aegislash, unless it's like max HP, max defense, and in its shield form. However, if he's not, like if he's max HP, I can still 2-hit KO him with Earthquake, unless I'm intimidated, but he has no way to intimidate me unless he uses Mega Alakazam to trace my Intimidate and then lower my attack stat. This thing kind of, like, it's threatened quite a bit by some of his Pokemon, like Weavile and Piloswine, Azumarill, so on and so forth. But we do have Scizor, we do have Necrozma, we do have ways, our other 5 Pokemon will, let's see here, how can I word this? I don't want to say dismantle or handle, but it helps. It helps versus Azu, it helps versus Piloswine, it helps versus Serena, to where in the late game they're not as big of an issue. But yeah, they all threaten Landorus very, very much so. But yeah, that's going to be it for Landers, and we can hop into Zera Aura now. We've got Zera Aura, which is going to be a Life Orb, sub, bulk up, 2 attack set with Plasma Fist and Close Combat. I could have opted to run Hidden Power Ice, but for Garchomp, but I felt like if I can get in a good position, then I think Close Combat after a bulk up with 2-hit KO for sure, as long as I got my Life Orb intact, obviously. And if I get my Life Orb knocked off, then it's still a 3-hit KO. Regardless, it could be problematic if I don't meet some certain scenarios, like weakening Piloswine, weakening Garchomp, and so on and so forth. This thing isn't just something that's going to come in straight up win or anything like that. I've got some things, certain things, criteria that I have to meet. And then sub bulk up also helps me versus Aegislash and the King Shield. That thing's problematic. If I go to attack it, it clicks the King Shield and gets my attack stat to drop. Then I could be problematic, or that could be problematic. And in the case that he's like mono flash cannon or doesn't have a ghost type coverage or something like that, I can potentially, with this much HP investment, I can potentially sub up on a predicted King Shield and then keep my sub as long as the AG can't break through it, and then sub bulk up, Plasma Fist, Close Combat. Like I mentioned, it just speaks for itself. Behind a sub at +1/+1 and a Life Orb, Zera Aura goes ham. I got 152 EVs with an Adamant nature, so no speed boost in nature, but still quite speedy. I set at 360 speed. My Mega Diancie tops out at 350. I do expect the Weavile and specifically the Weavile to speed creep Mega Diancie, since it can't outspeed Zera Aura. I do expect it to speed creep Mega Diancie by 1 or 2 points. I expect Mega Alakazam to outspeed Zera Aura by 1 or 2 points. And I felt like since Mega Alakazam is going to 100% outspeed Zera Aura anyway, I can drop Zera Aura all the way down to 360 speed points, to where if he's speed creeping Mega Diancie with Weavile by a few points, then I will still outpace that and everything else on his roster, excluding Mega Alakazam and Choice Scarf users. And it gives me a little bit extra damage output with my attack stat being Adamant and 252. So looks really nice, and I think Zera Aura can put in the work. But that's going to be it, and we can move on to Necrozma now. This Necrozma is going to be a support set, sort of, with knockoff, Toxic, Moonlight, and Swords Dance. So the idea is that I can click knockoff versus things like Aegislash, Garchomp, Zapdos, basically knock off everything, especially things like Zapdos, which might have leftovers, Piloswine's Eviolite, Snorlax's potential berry, whatever it may be, like if it's a recycle variant, just click a knockoff versus something like that could be really nice. Alomomola, Serena, potential Assault Vest, Serena, or lefties on Aloe. And then it hits Mega Alakazam pretty hard. After Swords Dance, it knocks out 100%. And then I can Toxic things like Zapdos, Serena, Piloswine, Snorlax, Alomomola, so on and so forth. Get rid of their items. Use Moonlight to, get my HP back. If I come to a position to where, like, he's kind of just tanking my hits, I can Swords Dance up versus like Alomomola, and then try to wear that thing down with like if I have to, I can get to +6 versus it, and then start knocking off Aegislash, Mega Alakazam. I can switch in on those mons, and I don't really have to. Aegislash is tricky because in its blade mode with special attack investment, Shadow Ball still hurts, but I can take it. Mega Alakazam specifically, I can take Psychics, Shadow Balls, so on and so forth. I can scout for Hidden Power Fire if I go hard into my Scizor, and then want to double out into my Necrozma to scout for Hidden Power Fire. Or if, say, I've got my Mega Diancie in, and he brings in his Alakazam, and he's going to knock me out with Psychic, but he predicts me to switch into my Necrozma. He goes for the Shadow Ball. As I actually switch into my Scizor, I take negligible damage, and now he's going to go for the Hidden Power Fire to bot my Scizor. And despite my Aqua Berry, I don't want to take it, so I'm going to double out into my Necrozma, take the Hidden Power Fire, and basically it bounces off. Then Shadow Ball can't 2-hit KO. So if I take Stealth Rocks and a Hidden Power Fire, Shadow Ball still cannot 2-hit KO. However, if I come in on a Shadow Ball and Stealth Rocks, then Shadow Ball does 2-hit KO after that, so that could be problematic. I can take a hit from Weavile if I have to, don't want to, but can if I have to. And basically, like I mentioned, it's there for Toxic Stall to support things like, not to support things, well, yes, to support things, but to wear down things like Alomolus, Arena, Snorlax, Piloswine, and Zapdos on his squad, and then knock off hits Aegislash and Mega Alakazam pretty hard. So hopefully that works out. That's the game plan anyway. But yeah, that's going to be it, and we can move on to Scizor. Alright, so we've got an Akaberry variant here, so that we can come in on Mega Alakazam, and we can take a Hidden Power Fire. We can also come in on Weavile and take a Whatmail Berry Natural Gift Fire. So that's really nice. Bullet Punch with no attack investment, always 2-hit KOs Mega Alakazam, unless it's max HP, max defense. And even so, U-turn always knocks it out as well. If I can gauge some damage on it, then I will be able to scout how much HP invested. I don't think it's going to be like defense invested. It might be HP invested, but I don't think it'll be defense invested. But yeah, if I can scout that and can see that, you know, a Bullet Punch can pick it off in the late game or something like that, I don't have to risk being hit first. I can always just click Bullet Punch and potentially knock him out. Or if he's out of range, then, you know, obviously I'll have to take a hit first and then U-turn out to knock out the Mega Alakazam. I do have Roost and Defog. He does have plenty of Stealth Rockers, and I think he's got a Spiker as well. So I do want to be able to get rid of hazards, and I could potentially, you know, send those back with my Magic Bounce Mega Diancie, but that's a little bit risky, and I would rather just defog them away if I have to. Max HP, max Spadef with a Spadef boosting nature. I do take hits from Aegislash pretty well, unless it's got like Hidden Power Fire. Of course, with my Akaberry attack, it's not that big of a deal. Same for Garchomp and Zapdos. They can't knock me out with Fire Blast or Heat Wave respectively, and I can U-turn out or BP. But obviously, I don't want to BP or anything like that versus Garchomp and Zapdos. Don't want to be taking that Rough Skin, Rocky Helmet, or potentially get static and do 0 damage to an electric type in Zapdos, so on and so forth. Basically, just one of my pivots into Mega Alakazam with Necrozma and this thing. And then last but not least, we've got Incineroar, which is a Psychic Immunity. We do have 2 resist and an immunity to Mega Alakazam on the squad. And Mega Alakazam is a huge threat, don't get that twisted. It is a huge threat. This also can take an Aqua Jet, like a +6 Aqua Jet. Well, maybe not a +6 Aqua Jet, but it can take like a Banded Aqua Jet and so on and so forth from Azu and threaten it. Not really threaten it, but can chip it down and maybe revenge kill it with a BP if it's weakened enough. BP also knocks out Weavile. U-turn also knocks out Weavile. And Bullet Punch with no attack investment. If he's a max HP Eviolite Piloswine, then Bullet Punch is like a 3-hit KO, so that thing's pretty bulky. I would like to get rid of its item if possible, so yeah, it's going to be that. Can switch in on Serena pretty comfortably and always just U-turn out no matter what it goes for, unless it obviously U-turns itself and, you know, picks up momentum with something like Garchomp or Zapdos versus my Scizor. But yeah, that's going to be it for Scizor, and we can move on to Incineroar. And here we've got an Assault Vest variant with Fake Out, U-turn, Knockoff, and Fire Punch. So we're max attack with an Adamant Nature, and max HP with Intimidate and Assault Vest. Obviously our defense and special defense are boosted. Not technically, but basically. Yeah, basically Assault Vest and Intimidate boost your special defense and defense, and then you've got max HP, max attack, so you do the most damage output, take the least amount of damage on both spectrums of defense, and yeah, it should be a solid Pokemon. Nice Intimidate shuffle. This is my second Intimidate user on the squad. With Landorus Therian, this helps versus potentially like a physically offensive Aegislash, helps versus Garchomp and Azu. Well, Intimidate, my 2 Intimidate Pokemon drop to Azu, but they do get the Intimidate off for something like Zeraora or Scizor, respectively. Can Intimidate Weavile, Snorlax. It's actually a pretty good switch into Weavile that doesn't have like low kick or something like that. Same for the Aegislash if it doesn't have like Secret Sword or something, or Sacred Sword, whatever it gets. But yeah, can come in pretty comfortably on Alakazam unless he wants to risk like Focus Blast. I don't think he actually would. I think Aki's more of a type of a player to where that he could build his squad to where Incineroar's not an actual huge threat, and he could run like Psychic, Shadow Ball, Hidden Power, Fire, and then like Recover or Taunt or Calm Mind. He may run Focus Blast just so that he could have the coverage. I've actually been in a position to where, you know, I've opted to not bring something like that, and then it cost me in the match. So maybe he does bring, you know, 4 attacks, Mega Alakazam with Psychic, Shadow Ball, Focus Blast, and Hidden Power Fire. I mean, that's perfect coverage versus my team, and it's like a real, like Alakazam's a real nuke versus my team. It comes in, it clicks something. I don't even think that Choice Scarf and Incineroar can even outspeed Mega Alakazam either, so he could always stay in and click that Focus Blast as long as that I was in range, you know, if he's scouting and, you know, calcing and whatnot. But anyways, we do have Fake Out. It can chip Mega Alakazam, it can chip Weavile, it can chip Zapdos, so on and so forth. U-turn into Zeraora and Mega Diancie. Okay, see, you might have noticed so far, we've got U-turn on Landorus Therian, we've got U-turn on Scizor. That's a train, by the way. I hope that's not too loud. And we've got U-turn on Incineroar. U-turn into Mega Diancie and clicking Moonblast is the game plan here. No matter what he has in, I want to, most of the time, click U-turn with my 3 U-turners, and then bring in Mega Diancie off the slow U-turn, and then just click Moonblast, and something should be dropping eventually once Aegislash is dropped and he doesn't have anything that can potentially outspeed Mega Alakazam, or Mega Diancie, excuse me, then Mega Diancie can go ham. So using this thing to U-turn out into that, it's really nice. Knockoff to get rid of items on Zapdos and Piloswine and Snorlax and Serena, Alomomola, so on and so forth. It's really nice. And then Fire Punch is there for the Serena, which could be problematic, and it also hits things like Aegislash and Zapdos after its items have been knocked off a little bit harder than Knockoff does. But yeah, that's going to be it, and we can move on to Mega Diancie, and we'll be right back. Alright, so next up is Diancie, and we've got just 2 attacks on this thing, Moonblast and Earth Power. Outside of Aegislash, he has no Fairy Resist, so Moonblast is literally the only coverage I need. It bops everything on the squad. Oko some certain things as well, like Weavile and Garchomp. And Earthquake, or Earth Power, is a 3-hit KO on Aegislash. So if it does hard switch in and I can see it coming, I can maybe predict that, click the Earth Power, and wear it down over time to where eventually I'm going to be able to click Moonblast into Earth Power to knock it out. Otherwise, just clicking Moonblast is the game plan. Eventually, or excuse me, not eventually, but there's some certain scenarios to where Protect is actually super viable versus my opponent. He could click things, especially like Aegislash. He could be like a substitute variant, which could be problematic. And just, well, first of all, I don't want to stay in versus Aegislash anyway unless I'm just clicking Earth Power. So more than likely it's going to be switching versus that. But in the case that he has something like, or he predicts me to switch, say, with like Piloswine. Say he leads off with Piloswine or Garchomp, and I click Protect, and he clicks Stealth Rocks, right? He predicts me to switch out, and he clicks Stealth Rock, knowing I don't want to take an Earthquake from Piloswine. So my Protect allows me to stay in and scout what he goes for, and if he clicks Stealth Rocks, it'll be bounced back to his side. If he clicks Earthquake, then I could switch out accordingly, or I could make a prediction and guess that he's going to click Earthquake again, or that he's going to predict me to know that he's clicking Earthquake the following turn, and I can just stay in and click Moonblast as he clicks Rocks, and I get damage off and get my rock, or get his rocks up on his side of the field instead of on my side of the field, which could be nice. And then our last move is Rock Polish. It allows us to, if he's like Choice Scarf Garchomp or Choice Scarf, let's say Serena, maybe even Zapdos, or he has Weavile and Mega Alakazam left in the late game, and he brings something in like, or he has Zapdos on the field, knocks out my Mega Scizor, and he knocks out my Scizor, I bring in my Mega Diancie, and I can click Rock Polish. Take any one hit and click Rock Polish, and then I can outpace Zapdos, Weavile, and Mega Alakazam. And if he's a Choice Scarf Garchomp or a Choice Scarf Zapdos, I will be able to outpace those as well after a Rock Polish, which makes this thing really, really threatening. I almost opted for a Modest Nature, but I really needed to be able to outpace like a Max Speed Zapdos or something like that, if he brought it. It's unlikely that he does bring it, but in the case that he does, I wanted to be prepared for that and be able to outpace it. I believe he also had something else that had me running quite a bit of speed. As you can see, I got 192 speed EVs. Oh, Mega Garchomp. That's what it is. I mean, regular Garchomp. That's what I'm outpacing, actually. So, yeah, that's going to be nice. And we can hop into the replay, and we'll be right back. Alright, so here we are with the replay, and my opponent chooses to bring the Aegislash, Garchomp, Zapdos, Snorlax, Piloswine, and the Mega Alakazam. So no Weavile, no Ozreal, no Alomomola or Serena, no Crustle. But yeah, very, very threatening squad. The first three Pokemon, Aegislash, Garchomp, and Zapdos, I mentioned in the Team Builder section that those three are guaranteed to come, and Mega Alakazam has a really high chance to come. And then he would either bring Piloswine or the Serena as a roadblock to the Zeraora, and then he chooses to bring the Snorlax, which I thought could be one of the X Factor Pokemon, and hugely threatening, especially with Curse and Recycle, or like a Restock, or even like a Choice Band variant. It's not as threatening versus my squad, since I do have Scizor and Mega Diancie, which resist, and 2 Intimidate Mons. But yeah, he's got a very scary squad nonetheless. He's got 2 potential Stealth Rockers in Garchomp and Piloswine. I do think that Piloswine will have the Stealth Rocks, and Garchomp would be more of an offensive variant. Aegislash could be 2 attacks with King Shield and maybe Protect. I have seen him run King Shield and Protect, sub King Shield. He has options to run like a Toxic variant here to wear down things like Incineroar, and what else would I have to switch in immediately? I have a few other Pokemon too that could switch in on Aegislash that he might want to run Toxic for, and yeah, he could definitely be a Toxic variant. Garchomp, like I mentioned, is going to be more of an offensive variant in my opinion. I do believe that Piloswine will be burdened with Stealth Rocks, and Garchomp could be like a Swords Dance, a sub Swords Dance variant, or like a sub 3 attacks, or just like a Swords Dance 3 attacks variant. Zapdos could have Defog. It might have Roost 3 attacks with like Discharge, Hidden Power, Ice, and Heat Wave, or it could be Thunderbolt. Could be Roost 3 attacks. Zapdos is a mon that's really, really tough to prep for. I think it's one of the best electric types in the format, maybe second best outside of Coco. And then Snorlax, like I mentioned, its sets already. Piloswine more than likely going to have Stealth Rocks, and then Earthquake and Icicle Crash or Ice Shard, and then it might just have something like Mamoswine, like Stealth Rock, Earthquake, Icicle Crash, and Ice Shard for priority. And then Mega Alakazam, like I mentioned, it could be like I mentioned in the Team Builder section, it could be 3 attacks, Calm Mind, 3 attacks, Recover. It could be 4 attacks with Psychic, Shadow Ball, Hidden Power, Fire, and the Focus Blast. Psychic hitting neutrally versus my team, except for things like Necrozma, which you would have the Shadow Ball for. Incineroar, which he would have the Focus Blast for, and Scizor, which he would have the Hidden Power Fire for. And he traces Technician upon switching. Same thing with Zeraora, he switches Volt Absorb, or he traces across the board: Intimidate, Volt Absorb, Prism Armor, Technician, Intimidate, and Clear Body or Magic Bounce, depending. But anyway, we can see what he wants to lead off here. I'm going to lead off with Necrozma because I felt like if he leads off with Piloswine or Garchomp, I can just Toxic either one of those, especially Piloswine. I felt he would lead with Piloswine and get a Stealth Rocks up versus my Mega Diancie. But I can understand why he leads with Aegislash, predicting maybe a Mega Diancie lead on my part. Where if I led with Mega Diancie or if I led with Landorus Therian, he could tank one hit and Toxic either of us. He does reveal to be a Toxic variant here, as I'm just going to click Knock Off, get rid of his leftovers, which helps Mega Diancie in the long run with Earth Power and Moonblast. He now has no recovery, and we're going to hard switch out into our Incineroar here as he goes for the double Toxic. Fine play there, not too big of a deal. We're going to dole out into our Landers, predicting either a King Shield or a swap out. It covered both plays, and we're able to get our Landers in and get our Stealth Rocks up as he brings in his Piloswine. And we're going to hard switch into our Scizor as he decides to set up Stealth Rocks. And we could just U-turn out here. He has no reason to stay in, but on the off chance that he did, or if I guess U-turn was always the play there, but in case he stayed in and went for Earthquake, I didn't really have a solid switch in outside of Landers, and it was too risky to just bring Landers in and then have to be forced back out into Scizor anyway. So I guess Bullet Punch is an okay play, but maybe U-turn would have been the better play there. He gets his Zapdos in. We're going to go hard into Incineroar after taking Stealth Rocks and Toxic damage. Thunderbolt could do quite a bit to us, but we are still AV, and he does go for the Discharge here, and it reveals to be doing 24% as we U-turn out. We're poisoned, so static doesn't matter to us. And now we can bring our Mega Diancie in and just click Moonblast here. I debated clicking Earth Power, but ultimately it wasn't worth it. And here, as you can see, we're going to go for the Earth Power, and it's a roll here in his favor. But the reason I even went for this roll, had I noticed that I was calcing the Blade form instead of his Shield form, I would be doing a whole lot less damage, and it would have given me a better calc. Obviously, I would have known that it would have been a roll instead of 100% knockout. Since he was in his Blade form on my calc, it was a 100% knockout from this range, but since he's in his Shield form, it's actually a roll in his favor. So normally I would switch out into Incineroar here, or double out into Scizor. Not double, excuse me, or switch out into Scizor, but I thought I could knock him out here, so I go for the Earth Power, and I'm not going to get the roll. I needed a high roll to knock him out, and I'm not going to get it, and he's going to go for the Flash Cannon and knock me out. So unfortunate there, as Mega Diancie was a huge threat to his team, especially if I could click Rock Polish and get it up anytime during the battle there. Anyways, we're going to go into Zeraora here, click Substitute as he reveals that Flash Cannon is his hardest move to hit me with, and we're just going to go for another sub here as he goes hard into his Garchomp. We're going to click that Close Combat here and break, well, not really break his sub, he doesn't have a sub, but we get a huge amount of damage off, and with Rough Skin and Life Orb, we're only afforded 2 more hits, so a little bit unfortunate there. I do know he's going to stack off his Aegislash here and not let his Garchomp go down, so I'm just going to stun on him a little bit and throw off the Plasma Fist versus a Ground Type. Anyways, he brings in his Mega Alakazam to revenge kill, and we go hard into a Necrozma as he goes for the Shadow Ball, which was a fine play, I suppose. As I had an immunity to Psychic and to resist a Psychic. So that was a fine play there. It only did 33% though, and we're able to Moonlight up, or Morning Sun up, excuse me. And now he brings in his Garchomp, and we're going to go into our Landers here. And as I mentioned in my Prep Talk section of the video, if he'd went for Outrage there, it would have put us in range of our Berry to pop. And we're just able to U-turn out as he brings in his Necrozma here. And we're going to click the Toxic, he brings in his Zapdos as we bring in Necrozma. And we're going to click the Toxic here as he roosts up. And we do land, which is really, really nice. It helps Scizor in the late game. And now he goes back into his Garchomp. So I don't want Necrozma to take any damage right now because it's still a really solid Alakazam check. So I'm going to hard switch into my... Landers, and I take Stealth Rocks damage, but my Berry's not activated yet, so a little bit unfortunate there. I could have maybe went into Scizor and then doubled back into Landers there and got my Berry back, but it is what it is. We are able to revenge kill the Garchomp though, and then he goes into his Zapdos and just roosts us up as we hard switch into our Incineroar. And we're going to go for a Fake Out to get a little bit of chip damage off. That plus Toxic would have left Zapdos at a decently low amount of HP, but unfortunately he brings in his Piloswine, and we're going to go into our Scizor and roost up. He goes for the Earthquake here, does quite a bit of damage, but we're at the best amount of HP we can be at to throw off an attack there. And we're just going to roost up here, knowing that he's either going to switch out or he's going to, you know, not do enough to knock us out the following turn anyway. So here he goes for the hidden power, and we're going to go for the U-turn. Unfortunately, I didn't account for him getting that, you know, a really high roll and then putting us in range of stealth rocks, or I would have went for a bullet punch into bullet punch and left my Scizor on the field to where that I could just click bullet punch versus Zapdos or Piloswine or Snorlax as well. But accidentally, well, not accidentally, but I U-turned out, so now that when Scizor comes back in, it does just faint to rocks. And at this point, I do believe it's game. I felt like I was on the back foot from the play that Mega Diancie went down. Had I not lost Mega Diancie there, I would have had a really good chance to continuously U-turn into that thing. And like, so what would have happened was Aegislash comes in on the Moonblast, and then I switch out into Incineroar or Landers or whatever, and then force the Aegislash out, whatever happens there. I want to talk about this for a second too. So whatever would have happened there, and then eventually Aegislash would be forced out. So when I brought my Mega Diancie in again, it's either going to be claiming a kill, or Aegislash is going to come in and tank a Moonblast and then be knocked out by the following Earth Power. So yeah, and right here, had I not been a Life Orb variant, or had I had a little bit more HP investment, had he not broken my sub, had I not taken rough skin damage or whatever it may be, had I had more health right here and I was able to attack with Plasma Fist and live the Life Orb recoil, he's mono normal type here with Body Slam or Frustration or Return or something, some kind of normal type move, and he would have actually Plasma Fist. After that move is used, all normal type moves become electric type. So his Body Slam would have been an electric type and would have actually given us an would have activated our Volt Absorb ability, and we would have been given HP, and eventually we would have been able to start bulking up and beat this thing down 1v1 the Zapdos and the Piloswine, being able to knock both out, you know, with close combat and then Plasma Fist for the Zapdos. So really cool. I disagree with him bringing this lax set. I guess he had enough on his squad to handle my Zeraora, in his opinion. Still disagree with it wholeheartedly though, and I'm so bummed that I did a calculation and didn't check his Aegislash if it was in shield mode or blade mode, and it cost me my Mega Diancie, which maybe didn't cost me the match. Maybe I could have still won, but Mega Diancie was a huge part on this team. Very, very huge part. But yeah, that's going to be it for the replay. And yeah, let me know what you thought about the preps and plays on both sides of the field. Always a pleasure to face the GOAT, AccuVGC, very good buddy of ours, and pretty cool guy. So yeah, go check out his content. He uploads iDM content quite a bit, quite often. He's got some ITL content, some MPL content. Phenomenal draft league battler. Go check him out and show him some support. He deserves it in terms of being, you know, a cool guy and a solid battler. He may be some egotistical, but it's whatever. It's more so in good fun than it is, you know, taking a child's game seriously and stuff like that. Good game to our buddy. Good luck the rest of the season, my dude. And maybe we can meet again in playoffs if I can get back to the winning side of things. This is our third loss in a row. But yeah, we're going to sign off on that one. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe, all the good stuff, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.